I took a bite of the cupcake, ate a couple bites of it. I was scared of being re-addicted. That scared me. I was scared of what I was gonna feel like. I've had no alcohol, no processed food in a year and a half. And I'll tell you what happened is
Joe, how did you find Carnivore?
um, that's the only question I've been thinking about all week right there is that one. It's funny, I was never looking for it. I was, playing around. I probably watched YouTube 80% of the time and watched different things and different items come up, and I wasn't even looking up, anything to do with diet at the time, and, Dr. Chaffee, a little video popped up in the corner that said, "Plants are trying to kill you." What? You know, that sounded crazy to me, and I was like, "All right, some weird thing." Went and did my thing, but that one kept lagging in the back of my head. So I said, "Okay, let's give it a watch, see what it says." And when I listened to him, I was really surprised, um, how strong his information was, how it came across to me. It had a big impact. And you know how it suggests other items. And of course, that takes me down the trail, right? I start come across Dr. Ken Berry, of course, my zero carb life, carnivore for 13 years. And like, this is crazy. Now I'm starting to think, I tried Atkins diet way back when the book was real popular. I forgot what that was. I think it was in the 90s, maybe. And that's what I was comparing it to because, yes, I had no knowledge about it. So I said, okay, where's this lead me to? Now, at the time, I should tell you that I was probably 80 pounds overweight. I had high blood pressure, probably on the verge of diabetes. And the one thing from the tablet for the high blood pressure, my ankles were swelling. And I felt old, right? I was just sitting there, you're sitting on a couch, you're looking at TV, working, and I felt it. And I didn't like what I was feeling. I guess I've always lived my life in denial of aging. I know we all have to do it, but I'm always in denial of it. And I thought, there's got to be a better way. Now, the one thing I did know to take me back even further is I tried juicing at one time. And at the time, it worked. I thought it was great. It was amazing. I lost weight. My blood pressure went down. It went away. Um, and it felt like the right thing to do at the time. So I went, I'm gonna say vegan, vegetarian, whatever, and probably did that for I'd say a couple of years. And at that point, it felt great. But what I didn't realize, there were a couple things that happened in that journey. There is my eyes within 6 months, I cataracts started showing up, and my vision changes. I was running half marathons and 5Ks, to keep the weight down. But my feet were swelling and I had inflammation everywhere. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. I was like an Advil addict because I'm just popping these things because of joint pain in my ankles and knees. No clue what was going on. And so eventually I fell off, went back to normal eating. And that worked my way up to the point where I found carnivore, and I said, "Okay, you know what? Let's give it a shot, see what happens." Because I'd say I spent 2, 3 months watching videos, you know, um, and of course came by your videos eventually, and I started listening to stories of these people, and I was amazed by the similarities of everybody, all their experiences together, and there's then the comments. When you looking up these other videos, I never see the support and the comments by people. I'm 23, I had this, I'm 71, I had that, and they've all got these amazing stories, even the comment sections on every one of these videos. So it took me about 3 months of studying, understanding it. I said, okay, I'm diving in. Now I'm a steak eater. I love steak. And I'd say during COVID, I was eating steak and broccoli and eggs constantly. And I knew I felt good. It seemed like there was an energy level, something felt different. And I was told by everybody on, that you're crazy. Aren't you worried about your cholesterol? You better watch it. You're gonna have a heart attack. Your blood pressure's gonna go up, blah, blah, blah. Now, a couple other things were happening at the time. I had trigger finger, right, in this hand, and this finger would literally lock. And it'd be like click. I had to pop it back. Always worse in the morning. My toes always felt very stiff. Um, they're I snored, right? And uh, all these things were going on at the time. So when I dived into carnivore, I remember it was like 3 days later, and my wife says, "You didn't snore." I said, "What? You weren't snoring?" Because she would always like hit me, if I'm snoring, because she didn't want me. And I said, "Okay, um, that's cool. That's interesting." So I have one of those snore apps on my phone. And I put it on for the next 2 nights, and I was surprised how quiet I was through the night because it shows you, right, what you've done. So, I decided, okay, something's going on here. I'd say maybe a day later, 2 days later, the I guess it's a arthritis, right? Form of arthritis when you get this stuff, right? And, it was gone within, I think, 4 days. It was gone. No more trigger finger. I couldn't believe it. you know, um, shocking to me. And so I'm like, something's going on here. Now, sorry, I got to step back a little bit more. Is I did decide that the blood pressure pills were causing I think it's edema, where my legs were swollen. All right. Um, and I said, okay, I'm done with these things. And now I'm thinking at the time, now I'm going backwards again. Sorry about that, but it's I'm thinking about the time I'm vegan and I was able to using food that it corrected my blood pressure in a way. I should add real quick, something just came to mind is when I stopped at juicing and I increased my food intake and I added, I think, salmon and maybe bananas or something like that, the blood pressure started going up again. And I said, okay, I remember food was controlling my health. I realized at that point. Now, that's why carnivore gave me some confidence, like, okay, there's got to be something to this. So I'm off the blood pressure pills. My blood pressure was running 160 to 106 range. It was very high. There was a couple days it was 170. My wife, who she's Filipino, she thinks I'm crazy. She's worried about what's going on, and I'm gonna have a heart attack. I would say 3 weeks. My blood pressure fell into maybe kind of a normal range, below 140 over 90. And it's like, okay, it's kicking in. Something's going on here. And I did go through a little bit of, I say keto flu in a way, or whatever it is, where my legs felt like two concrete stumps for like a week. It was miserable to try and walk. I was tired. I was taking afternoon naps. It was about a week. So I woke up one day and bam, man, 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm out in the garage doing stuff. I work from home. So I'm doing my day job, doing everything, doing stuff at the house, going through the day. And I realized my energy level was mind blowing. I could not, I just couldn't remember feeling like that. And weight started dropping. And so, I mean, that first month, things were correcting itself so quickly. I would say within the 90 days, that Dr. Berry promised me to give him the 90 days. And I said, okay, I'm doing it. I said, I felt like I was out of jail, out of prison. I felt freedom, you know. Um, I couldn't believe the amount of weight I lost and how I felt and how I looked, right? And by the way, Dave, I guess maybe you want to cut out, but I have a couple pictures. I can, I don't know, email you or do I share them here?
If
Email?
you could email them to me and I'll just put them in when we're talking about it.
Okay, because to see where I was at before, you know. Um, anyway, so I don't remember my exact weight loss. I did track it. I have a Garmin app where I used to have with the watch for my when I was running marathons, and I have the scale that puts that on there. I should take a maybe a screenshot of that and send it to you. And you can look at the course over a year, how it drops down and better than a 45-degree angle and watches all that. And I'm focusing more on the weight and the blood pressure at the time. And like watching you and everybody else, I'm starting to realize, wow, there's some other benefits there. But I did my expectations were too high, I think, up front, thinking this stuff's going to magically disappear. I think one thing I've learned now is it takes a couple years for a lot of the serious things because we've been overweight for 20 plus years. It takes years to clean up our bodies, right, from this. But I got to the point now, today, I'm probably within 10 pounds of my high school weight right now. I mean, I'm at first, in that first 90 days, I had it seemed like extra skin. My I probably looked older for a while. My wife said, "You look old doing this," but she takes uh, the same blood pressure tablet that I used to take, and my blood pressure is lower than hers. Now, before I told you I went 160 over 106. Now I'm probably like I think my lowest was 112 over 68, and eating carnivore did that to me, right? And she would really get upset at that. She goes, "How do you do that?" Um, I did go for blood check. All my numbers were in good range, except for the cholesterol. And that's when I was been watching. Oh God, who was it? I forget. There's been a lot of the cholesterol debates back and forth. It was Dr. Sean Baker. It was him. I watched him have that kit from Fora 6, I think it is, that lets you do your cholesterol and ketones and all that. And so I started learning about that and watching him about cholesterol, where I learned that your cholesterol number is not the same all the time, like your blood pressure. You can get up in the morning, check your blood pressure, it's low. You go running, drink three cups of coffee, it could be high. It's all over the place. And, they give you a tablet for it. And on cholesterol, I've been watching that now. And I've learned that the high cholesterol, like when I first went to the doctor, it was 385, I think. And that's when I learned, okay, hyper responder. But then I figured out my body's responding to healing me. That was after probably 90 days. So it didn't scare me because I've been reading the medical studies, reading everything. My doctor was concerned. Um, in fact, at that doctor office after 90 days, I had not the actual doctor, but I believe it was a medical assistant that said, aren't you afraid of having a heart attack? She's just going on and on and on, arguing with me about my diet. Totally ignored, which I think the same story we've heard how many times, right, Dave? Is you know, she wasn't looking at my glucose. She was looking at my blood pressure, my weight, nothing else that was healthy about me. The only one marker was that cholesterol. And I even brought the medical studies, like Dr. Berry says. I brought him the paperwork. I had probably that thick of papers and studies. Wasn't even interested in it. Didn't care less. Didn't care about my health at that point, no matter what I was saying to her. And which is interesting, is all my friends, family, I love you all, but please bear with me what I'm gonna say. Everybody thought I was crazy, and some still do. And you remember Uncle Bob who had, died of cholesterol, and this one died of cholesterol, and that one died of cholesterol. You're crazy. And I couldn't get them to understand nobody died of cholesterol. They all smoked. I know the three people that were mentioned to me, they all smoked, drank heavily, ate the worst foods you can imagine. And it really made me, okay, I got to really study this better, because these guys saying it's going to kill you. The next guys are saying it's not a concern. So I studied it, and I started doing the 4-6. And at that point, I realized after maybe an 8-hour fast, I was 165 was the lowest. The longer I fasted, 48, 72, it went up. It went up so high one time, it was over the scale for 4-6. It said it couldn't even give me the number because it was over the scale. After that, I realized, okay, then again, Dr. Sean Baker talked about a study where they took checked the cholesterol of a bear that was in hibernation in midway through the 6-month period, and the cholesterol was very high. So it seems like our body produces this glucose, the energy, burning that fat, which raises the cholesterol and raises it up. It's just the way your body works to take care of itself. So I've learned, and not listening to family, and friends. They're concerned, they're genuine, I understand, but there are blinders on. And when people see you healthy, healing, in a good place, mental clarity, et cetera, right? That they tend to deny that truth. No, Good Morning America had this blah blah blah. Uh, Name your TV show, Talking Head. I had a news program on the radio one day. There's a TV simulcast, and they have a guy on there telling how there's obese problem in America. Like, okay, I'm listening. And we got this drug, and it was not Ozempic, it was some other drug, but they're talking about how people need this drug to heal. I'm yelling at the radio, no, just eat a steak. It's like, come on. It's insane. And to get to this place. Now I've been in this, I would say it's about a year and a half, maybe a little bit more now at this point. And I can never go back. Now there's one confession. My daughter recently married, and family's all there, and they had this special thing where everybody had cupcakes. And I remember, I think it was Dr. Sean Baker again, or one of them said, "Yeah, hey, a piece of cake for my daughter's birthday, sure." I think, all right, maybe it won't hurt me. Scared me to death. I looked at that thing, and I decided for my daughter, this one inception over the year and a half, I took a bite of the cupcake, ate a couple bites of it. I was scared of being re-addicted. That scared me. I was scared of what I was going to feel like. I've had no alcohol, no processed food in a year and a half. And I'll tell you what happened is my stomach felt like, in the movie The Alien, where the alien's going to come out of your stomach, it felt like it was hurting that bad, like something wanted to get out. It hurt. It hurt me to the next day. My stomach was hurting me from that. That was the only experience I had in trying something again. I'm not gonna lie, it tasted good. It was cream cheese and strawberry little thing. I didn't eat the whole thing. I probably ate a quarter of it. But that little bit, you could tell my body was rejected. Wasn't happy with me. All right. So um, going back and looking at everything made me realize at one time, I remember watching my family, heart problems, diabetes, some overweight. Now my brother he can eat pizza and 6 ice cream bars, and he'll lose weight the next day. He metabolizes totally different. Um, but we've had all the typical metabolic diseases in the history of my family. And I remember having the thought many years ago, long before I looked into any of this, I always wondered if it's the food we eat. And then you look at a lot of families, we eat a lot of our traditional foods in our families. And I thought way back then, maybe there's a tie to that. Now I'm looking at it and I'm convinced there's a tie to the food we eat, but I'm also convinced for the sad diet, which it truly is sad. But when you look at what is being sold at every store, every restaurant, the chemical makeup of these foods is truly what's killing us all, right? I get it. You want to be part, American society, as you know, we're very driven by that. The social thing is food. Go out to dinner and you critique the taste, you enjoy it, you share. Everybody enjoys this moment together, breaking bread, right? They want to talk about the fine wines and all that. And I get it. And I've stepped back away from it. And I believe Dr. Ken Berry is the one that said, once you come to the other side, you see things differently. And I look around me now and I feel like, again, I still feel like I'm free, right? The handcuffs are off. I'm a free man. And I'm looking at it and thinking, God, no way. I mean, as soon as I got back from that trip with my daughter, for my daughter's wedding, I couldn't wait to take some burger patties out of the freezer and a steak and let it thaw out and eat it and just get back into my pace again. I have no draw to any of it. Now, my wife is picking up eating steak more, which she's watched what's happened to me, but she'll still eat some vegetables. She's eating a lot less fried food now, and I hope she keeps going down that path. But I think she's starting to see how healthy I am. But I ride motorcycle with friends. We go out everywhere, and they always want to eat somewhere, which is never a desirable place to eat. And usually, I'll just have coffee. That's probably I still drink coffee. I'll have a cup of coffee or an unsweet tea, but they've gotten used to me now that I won't eat because they're like, Joe, you still on that meat thing? Yeah, you're gonna stop that. You've lost enough weight. Like, dude, this is a life changer, man. I'm not on a diet. They genuinely concerned, beautiful people, but I want them. They understand this is where I'm at. And this is what I do now, and they're accepting of it. But I'm still surprised at the denial of truth that I see of people when they see me, doing this. You know, um, I work, like I said, I work from home, so people don't see the transformation except through Zoom, and I don't share very much on, with work. But I can say for friends and family, it's hard for them to understand because of what we've been told. What they read, what they're, you know, where we go with it. But the fun part of carnivore is I can bend over and tie my shoe now. I can I get on my motorcycle. I'm smaller. My belly's not hanging over the tank. Uh, I get an airplane seat. I could sit in the back and not care. You needed first class because you wanted to be comfortable. Now I could sit in the back and I got room to move around the seat, sit however I want. I always envied. I used to fly 200 flights a year, more on the airplane, for work, and been all over. Right? I've been to Japan, been to the Philippines, been to Italy, all over the U.S. And I always envied, like you'd see some young girls very thin and they sit in a standard seat like it's a giant couch. It's like, what does that feel like? You know, I cannot imagine. And now I can do things that I can't, I haven't been able to do probably since I was a teenager. And I wasn't heavy as a kid. As a teenager, I was probably a normal weight. I probably weighed maybe 150, 5'10" and a half. You know, I was a normal weight. Um, just I remember one day waking up and I was almost 300 pounds. I didn't know how I got there. My wife is buying pants. She goes, someone buy an inch bigger every time to fit differently. And I never knew she was doing that. So I didn't really realize my size at the time. So, and eating like, all the stuff everybody else was eating, they looked okay. Everybody looked okay. The sad part about the food is I think of it as a slow poisoning. And we don't see it. I ate the cupcake. Didn't kill me. Upset my stomach a bit, but I was fine. And I'm back to normal today, right? And we don't see it, so we won't. I can understand why it's hard to believe our stories. And I wanted to especially talk to you when you start talking, offering out like, "Hey, contact me." I want to get more stories out there, but my question is, how do we help people understand what you and I and we're all experiencing? That what the TV's telling you is not a fact, but that's hard because then how do we get them to understand that what we're telling you is a fact, right? Because usually what they'll say is, so, okay, well, all right, watch Dr. Kimber, or all right, what's he trying to sell you? I said, nobody's selling you nothing. Eat a steak. That's all we're saying. Pick a steak at your grocery store, go start eating it. That's it. You don't have to buy the book. You don't have to anything. I have not bought anybody's books. I do use Keto Chow for they call it electrolytes because I do get leg cramping, but I've noticed it's a lot less now after about a year and a half. That's gone down. Depends on my activities, right?
Just to jump in on the products, I think, whose book are you buying or whatever, whose course did
Hmm.
you get or whatever. I think that's the fact that we're not selling anything or no one's really selling anything is
Hmm.
the thing we've got going for us in this movement, but it's also something we've got against us
Hmm.
because basically most people are looking for just a button to push to solve their problems,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so it's very, I think it's quite persuasive when we say we're not selling anything. We're just, this is what you need to do. Go and buy a steak, go and get some eggs, just cook it up, eat it,
Yeah.
job's done. That's it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I think that's very persuasive because people are like, oh, so this isn't like some Amway meeting or something. You're not trying to sell me something, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
But the flip side of that is it's work. I've got to think about what I'm going to make. I've got to, this isn't just a push button. A book's not going to tell me in 3 steps what to do.
Right.
And so I think it's kind of, there's that kind of balancing thing that's a little bit, in some
Yeah.
ways, the scammers who are selling you some just random take a pill diet,
Right.
they've got the leg up because, you know,
Those are the people I
they've got a
see
pill.
that get upset at us are the ones who are trying to sell here's my vitamin kit. You take this, life's going to be great. You know, you bring up an interesting point. Well, it draws me to a place is you're right. It is work. I thought up front everything, the arthritis and the different things that have happened to me in the first few months. I'm thinking, wow, this is happening fast. And I'm realizing when I hear people talk about better vision, getting your hair back. That's one I wish would work a little better, a little faster, get the hair back. But it does take time. My body's got to heal. It's healing. Who's that? Sally Norton talked about oxalates, but it's over a period of time. It doesn't magically disappear, right? Um, but I also watch others. It also takes me path of you're talking about not needing the book, and you really don't. You can do. I tell people who want to try it. The was it beef butter bacon egg? BB&E thing, right? I think that was a very creative approach to say, it's all you got to do. If you can remember those letters, you can enjoy this diet. But people do miss, you know, an omelet, or they miss steak something with whatever, or a taco or whatever. And I notice a lot of videos about people, oh, this is how I make carnivore bread, carnivore tacos. And I think sometimes that can take you down a path. Now, I'm speaking maybe for myself. Maybe those people do it and they enjoy it. Hey, you know what? God bless them. I'm okay with that. That's fine. But for me, I think it would take me to that point like, wow, you know, I took a bite of that cupcake. Maybe I'll try this. Or, you know, I want to make things taste like this or that. I've gotten to a place where it doesn't phase me anymore. You know, I watch other people eat. I could care less. It's like looking at a piece of cardboard. I could care less to eat it. You know, I'm very happy to get my steak. I'm very happy to have, you know, I got burger, and I also buy, I get the fat trimmings from the butcher. And, you know, I get that for free, and I'm very happy with all of that. I eat that like candy now, you know? Um, so it's been an interesting journey to this point. I love all the videos, and I still watch stuff from Ken Berry, My Zero Carb. I watch Sean Baker a lot, Dr. Chaffee, you, of course, you know. Um, um, and I love the stories, and I think this community is getting larger. And I'm actually thinking of going to the next event where everybody kind of goes into one place and listen to them talk and meet some of these people face to face, because I can tell you for where I'm at in my life now, it's amazing. The only reason if I get up and I'm sore in the morning is because I did some crazy workout the day before, you know, heavy work, heavy lifting or something. And what I found, oh, you know, I told you earlier about being vegan, and I'd have the sore feet, ankles, you know, the inflammation. I found now, like on a motorcycle, you know, you're on a big heavy bike, and say if you stop wrong and maybe a twist of foot or something, I'm thinking, oh, here we go. You know, I'm gonna have to take Advils or something, and I don't. I get home, I'll notice later I have a little bit of a sore ankle, or you know, whatever happens. What I've noticed on carnivore, it's a big difference. My ankle in the morning might be a little sore, but it's not hurting enough for me to reach for a pill. So I let it go the first time. By mid-afternoon, the pain was gone. And I'm going to tell you what the difference is. Previous pre-carnivore life, I would have been limping and taking Advils to get rid of the pain for probably 3 weeks. Now, the body's become self-healing. And I'm like, wow, these injuries aren't lasting a lifetime now. They're a few hours. That's okay. Maybe a day. If I give it a day, it's gone. It blows my mind, right? Um, I feel that there was one time I thought I was getting a cold or something was going on, or it could have been an allergy at the point at that point. Barely lasted a day. I'm finding my body healing quick. You know, I love working. I got an old car I love to work on, you know, and I'm always tinkering and, you know, cut a finger or whatever. Heals. Amazingly heals. Um, Life now is I feel like I've gone back to 40. I have found the fountain of youth. And I told you earlier, I'm in denial of aging. And now I'm really in denial of aging. When I listen to people around me, oh my God, I have a hard time getting up, my knees. Joe, don't your knees bother you? Like, no. I just like, nah, not at all. Um, Energy levels are great. I know my thought process is different now. You know, I'm clear when people speak to me. I have a clear, I'm hearing my focus is stronger. My eyes, my eyes are getting better slowly. And if there's one point I could put out there is this is a process. It takes time and the benefits will come. You gotta stick to it. And I would say the first 6 months were the hardest as far as temptations and cravings. I don't have them anymore. I really don't. Now, I told you about the fat trimmings. We'll chop them up. I'll fry some. I'll throw them in a container in the fridge. And then if I feel like I want to nudge on something, I'll grab a little chunk of beef fat. That's my potato chip now. And that cures me of it. And uh, I just can't wait to see where I'm at 5 years and see how I feel and see what's changed. I do realize, though, I think of the habits I had over the previous 30 years, early years of my life, could still come to pay, you know, but I feel like I'll have a fighting chance now that I didn't have before, right? Um, there's a movie, I think I don't know if you heard of it, um, Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. He's the guy who talks about juicing. That's when I first started juicing that years ago. He is correct in the beginning of that film about um, when you're young and you're a child and you fall down, you got the band-aid on your knee, but body heals itself. And he mentions like why can't that happen on the inside of your body? Why can't that happen now in our adult life? And what I'm learning is the body will heal itself, but you got to have the right food for it. Food is our medicine, I believe, and you got to have that medicine, right? And when you hear people who are sick, I do have a family member right now that's got to take on oxygen tank. It's in his 80s, but he eats all the food that I know we shouldn't eat. But I can't convince him, and I'm not going to try to switch because I know and I hurt for people like that when you sit there and say, if you try this, you'll have a fighting chance. Yeah.
So just on this point, and
Mhm.
also when you talked about the kind of the rapid repair or the rapid healing that you've felt when you've been sick or when you've twisted an ankle or something like that.
Yeah.
I think it's important to just kind of talk about a discussion I had with a Stanford professor about this. Um, the thing with your body is you've got an immune system, right? So your immune
Hmm.
system is always working to correct things and you know, whether it's your twisted ankle or it's your a cut or a sore or something. Um, but when you've got elevated insulin, that turns your immune system off. So if you've
Huh,
got
okay.
chronically elevated insulin, your immune system isn't working.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for me, knowing what I know now and everything that I know now, for me, that's the selling point for carnivore is
Absolutely.
you want to use your immune system, then you want to give it a chance to work, you know. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's important just to, think about in terms of, you know, the healing you were talking about, but also
Mhm.
in terms of maybe talking to family members as
That's a great point. Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I forgot about that immunity system. How we're making that stronger. We're giving it more power to correct, the problems we're having. And you're right. I mean, up front, it took care of a lot of the the other stuff. And now I believe longer term, it's healing more, that I probably didn't even know about. And you're right. That's actually a good approach to that because, my group of friends, we'll go out and meet them up, and they'll be like, Joe, you got to stop losing weight. And I'm like, I have to keep explaining to them, I'm not trying to lose weight. I'm trying to heal and stay off prescription drugs. And one of the guys said, wow, yeah. He goes, that's a good goal. I said, yeah. I said, I'm off of this stuff. And I don't want to have to need the doctor. I mean, and don't get me wrong. I do believe our medical system is amazing in a lot of ways. They do understand and they do help us through tragic, like accidents and maybe a sudden heart attack or stroke, God forbid, or any of this stuff that happens to us, they have amazing knowledge. They do lack in nutrition and they do lack in what we really need to not to have that pill. And I don't think it's on purpose. I think, sure, some people know better. And yeah, they want to sell you vitamins, they want to sell you kale tablets or etc. or whatever crazy stuff there is. But I do believe that there's a lot of heartfelt people that are very brilliant. I mean, think about brain surgery. I mean, I can't believe, I watch these people and what they can do. But going back to your point, what's more amazing is how our own body knows how to heal itself and knows what to do, when it's being invaded by carcinogens or, whatever that's coming into our body. Um, it's mind blowing what I've learned when I had my argument with the doctor that day. It's like I actually had to explain to her that, I am an educated adult. I know how to read. I can do research. What you're learning is not foreign to anybody out here who takes the time to read and study. When people ask me about going carnivore, I do always insert the caveat that said, take a couple months, study it. When you increase your meat intake, reduce the sugars, reduce the fried foods in that time to kind of give yourself kind of a ramp up to it and to avoid the keto flu. But I tell them, watch everybody. Yes, I tell them watch you, Dave, by the way. But I tell them watch everybody and learn, read the studies, try and understand what these things mean that they're telling you so you understand what you're getting into. And I think if they understand better of what they're diving into, they're going to come away stronger. Like I'm going to put it like working on your car. There are people who can change oil in a car and some who can't. We don't touch car, take it to a mechanic, they trust it. The mechanic can mess up the car or they'll charge you extra stuff. Hey, you need this and that, and you're paying twice as much all of a sudden. You don't know why. I think it happens in our medical system the same way, where you get the mechanic that's the best in the world. But I like to be my own mechanic, Dave, right? I like to repair my car myself and change the oil, because what happens then when your car or bike, whatever it is, something sounds different, something's acting different, you know it well enough that maybe you can fix it or you can get in and do whatever it needs to make your car happy and running again. Your body, I think, works the same way. No, I wouldn't perform surgery on myself, right? I wouldn't do anything like that. But you know what? When I had the cupcake, I had this feeling I haven't had in a year and a half. I knew my body wasn't happy. When, when I was running, and I learned this back when I was doing the marathons, you're running, all of a sudden you feel like, oh, there's twitch in my knee. And I learned like, oh, you know what? My posture is wrong or something's wrong. So I adjust my foot, do whatever, boom, pain would go away, keep on going. I learned that from taking golf lessons back in the 90s. A guy said, if you're swinging wrong and your back hurts, your posture is wrong. And it clicked because once I learned what they told me, I've noticed like, wow, no more pain. Running, wow, a little adjustment here and there, no more pain. Same thing with food, a little adjustment, wow, I'm healthier, I'm happier, everything's better. So again, same thing as the car. You know what to listen to or what to do. You have an intimate relationship now with your body, like the car or motorcycle, and you understand when it's not feeling well. I understand when I'm not feeling well, I know what I could do. Babe, I don't need aspirin anymore. I don't get the headaches. I don't get the pains. I don't need the tablets, right? I would even tell anybody that's out there right now watching any of your interviews, listen to the radio one day, watch TV. What do you hear? 90% of the commercials, at least here in America, is, hey, you can't sleep at night? Take this pill. Hey, having problems at home in the bed? Huh? Here's a pill. Take the pill. You got knee pain every day? Take that pill. Everything we find goes away on Carnivore, they're selling a pill for. right? And going back to your point, there's not a pill for every ill. There's one big pill, and it's a steak. It's a ribeye, right? The one thing we tell us we're not to eat, um, which I think is interesting. Which takes me like, where are we going right now? I don't know. Did you see it? Is it in the UK where a bunch of kids had meat banned from the menu, from a school menu? Did you hear about that?
I didn't hear about it, but I believe it's possible in this day and age now. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And it makes me wonder why we've convinced children to eat, you know, they'll take a bag of uh, chips or some goofy candy thing full of, which basically just like a chemistry kit of different, all these chemicals. Eat this. Don't eat meat. That's no good for you. We don't want to kill the animals. So we're going to build this giant plant and we're going to make meat for you. Don't worry about it. It'll be safe. And I'm seeing this everywhere in Europe where they're trying to ban meat. Even here in America, they want to try and ban, stop people from eating from meat. And that scares me for, well, not only our community, and I don't want to say our community. I don't really like saying that, by the way. I think this is an open community that people are welcome to. Come on in, try it out. The water's great. You'll love it, and it really is a place of healing. And we're sending people down a path where we're just going to keep them sick. We're going to make them sick and be in a slow death.
Yeah. And these young kids that are growing up and thinking, as you say, that meat's bad, don't eat this, just eat the thing out of the box. These are the leaders of tomorrow.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. In so many levels that I feel like children around the world right now are being manipulated and indoctrinated into this is the way the world's supposed to be. Ban everything you know now, everything your parents did, all those old people don't know what they're talking about. This is the way you want to be. And it's kind of frightening. I don't even want to get the politics of it. I'm more concerned with the health right now. We're I actually know of in an ex-wife's family. I remember 5-year-old girl, because the daughter took them to, they ate fast food every day. They said, you can't eat the same thing every day. She said, oh, I'm not. I'm eating at this restaurant. And then tomorrow we'll go to that restaurant. She was going just to different restaurants, thinking they're getting something different every day. And this girl, 5 years old, had high blood pressure. And seriously, yes, it was heartbreaking to hear. And the way I'm seeing the world right now is I'm seeing people walking. I was at the airport yesterday. We flew in from Colorado. I live South Florida, and flying in, and I'm looking at everybody eating at all these restaurants, and I'm walking around, and you can see the pain. And Dr. Berry's right. I feel like that's the dark side. We're not on the dark side. I think we see the light. We're there, over there. That's the dark side, and they don't see their addiction. I was there. I know that addiction, right? I remember stopping. Oh yeah, I'd be eating that cinnamon donut over there, or I'd be having that latte with all the foam and all the stuff in it. The McDonald's line was. I'm sorry, I don't know. I probably shouldn't mention names like that, but let's just say the burger joints
It's
line.
fine, but
Okay,
yeah, no problem.
I
But
don't want
yeah,
to find them.
it's like being an alcoholic. You're in denial for the majority of the
Yes,
time. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. You don't see what it's causing you because you think it makes you feel better, and people think we're not crazy. I say, hey, that sugar addiction, food addiction is like being alcoholic. I went down that path. And then Dave, I got 2, 3 pictures. I'll send you. You can see my size. I mean, I can show you on the phone here, but when you look at me months later and how much weight I lost, you know, you realize that you don't care. I know people that'll be like, if we're not going to stop to eat, they're not happy. They just got to eat, and it breaks my heart. It's like, man, please, I know you would be here where I'm at if you could do it. And I can't tell people what to do, and I won't. I want people to do what they want to do. but sometimes you got to hit that bottom. Like like I said earlier, the edema, my legs, my ankles were so swelled up, I can put my fingers into it and the imprint would stay there, right? And that's gone. When that was gone and I really realized everything, it's like I can't go back. You know, it's a mind-blowing place to be in.
So, what is your message to people out there who might want to give this a try? What would you say to them?
I think what I said earlier, have an open mind, open your ears, open your mind, research it. Look at the comments on every one of these videos and look at what people are saying out there. And keep in mind, none of us are paid to do this, right? Um, Listen to people like all the videos, research them all. I'm going to point out Dr. Camberry is a good start. Sean Baker, Chaffee, um, who's the doctor? I always say his name wrong. Oladia. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh,
The heart
Dr.
surgeon.
Ovadia. Ovadia.
Avadia, yes. Sorry, Dr. Avadia. Um, these guys tie their studies to their videos. Read those studies. And you're not going to understand it up front. Google the terms you don't know. But the next step in that process is grab your next bag of chips, grab your food, any box you have in your cupboard. Next thing I would tell them, grab some of those ingredients, Google them. Google what those ingredients are, what they are, what you put in your body. And then I'm going to say, do some simple math. 1 + 1 = 2. You'll get it then. When you see the studies, look at us. We're documenting the proof of what we're saying. You don't have to buy a single thing from any of us. Just do that. Research what you're eating. Look at a chain food restaurant, fast food restaurant. Look at the ingredients in those. I think who's good with that is Dr. Salandino, because he does those things where he says, "Hey, did you see what's in their burgers and what's in their fries?" Watch some of those and look at those ingredients. Again, Google those. Again, 1 + 1 = 2. You'll realize what's going on. Don't be afraid to start. It'll be scary the first few weeks, maybe. But within 30 days, and like Dr. Berry says, give it 90 days, 3 months of your life, that when you realize and you see and you feel, I think you'll come to an understanding of where your own health is, and then you'll understand what we're trying to express to you. So, but also don't be afraid to reach out and say, "Hey, help me understand." And any of us, I think, would help.
So, Joe, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. I really appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you, Dave. Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure. And I look forward to more videos from you. And hopefully one day we all can meet in one place and share stories. It'd be great.